Morning at NTV. I'm Andrew Chamagero on Muntua 1C, and we're still going on. I want to thank those on digital platforms that have been asking questions. Well, the questions you're forwarding, I didn't have enough time to ask them, teacher Habiman Alex, but kindly give him a call and he will answer to that. Now, this is a week that saw two Nigerian artists who had shown up to perform at a breakfast and lunch or brunch, if you could call it, and the event turned into a late night concert. Well, to speak to us about this and more, we have Edward Ssendi, the CEO of West Records. Good morning, Mr. Ssendi.
Good morning, Andrew.
Well, it's an honor. For the first time, we have met on professional grounds, and we're going to discuss this on professional grounds. First of all, Mr. Ssendi, what happened? How could artists just get into the country, get approval, perform, and get arrested after?
I think that's been one of the biggest blunders the government has made.
Okay, how?
For starters, we have a country with a lot of intelligence
Apparatus.
Okay? I'll give an example. We have a VISO for the village. We have a PISO
for the parish.
We have a GISO for the Gomborora.
Yes.
We have a DISO
for the district. Yes.
Now, I have not got into the others who are the ISO
yes, at the national grid.
At the national grid.
Yes.
Now, we have crime intelligence.
Yes.
We have CID. We have media and something.
Yes, there is that department.
Yeah, there's a department.
Yes.
If you did something here, there's a department, a particular department that will call you in.
That handles you, yes.
Okay, they won't take you to the normal CID that we used to know.
Yes.
Now, how many are those? They're about 10.
Those are like 10 so far.
Okay. If I had authority, I would arrest all of them.
Why?
How can they tell me that these guys advertised the show, okay? If I, a layman, knew about it.
A layman from your struggles, you could see there is a show.
I could see there's a brunch something. And I was just trying to put the two, you know, brunch is a lot of eating.
Yes.
And then I'm contemplating, okay, as I eat.
You see, it could
and
be
then you throw in a musician.
Yes, it could be something of the sort.
Okay. Now, from all that publicity that came with it, people congregated.
Yes.
At the venue entrance.
And they paid 100,000.
And they paid. And entered. And the music started playing.
And they were safeguarded by police.
Police was there.
Yes.
And the environment where the show was, the show was not in Mabida Forest.
It was in
or
Bunyoro.
Bongoma Forest.
Yes.
You know, where you might say the nearest human neighbor is maybe 50 kilometers away.
Yes.
Or even more. You get it? But in Munyonyo, where are all these people? That Giso, crime police, what?
Media crime department.
Media crime department.
They were all nowhere to be seen.
Now, I would want, first of all, those guys to be arrested. Okay, if I had authority, all those would be in.
Mr. Ssendi, do you believe that in Uganda we have what they call the Untouchables? I'll give you an example. The promoter who brought this person, some people have lineages or contacts with the first families, so they have a cloak of, you know, we're untouchables. You're not going to touch us, even if you're VISO. So what so much can a VISO do when someone comes and says it's from the first family anyway?
He would have made... I don't want to talk about the first family. Because
but that was the
there
line
are so
this
many
woman was throwing.
as well.
There are very many masqueraders, that's true.
But because the word is there, that means those people exist. You know, the moment there is a word,
there has to be, the moment there is a title,
the moment there is a
there
title,
is someone into it.
Then there must be somebody into it.
Yes.
And if there weren't that person or people, then that title wouldn't be there. So the untouchables obviously are there. Now, in my own opinion, I feel the musicians were sacrificed by the untouchables. Or by the state because the untouchables wouldn't be touched. You understand?
Yes, I do.
So the whole thing, and this has nothing to do with whether the musician was a Ugandan
Or not.
or a Nigerian or British. Okay? The musician was the last person to be blamed.
It is the last
in all
cut to
this.
blame, yes.
The
But then-
people to blame: security, police, intelligence agencies, the promoters.
And the Culture Institute, the Culture Association. Who gives the permit to artists when they get here to perform?
Okay, the first thing is artists who come here to perform are supposed to have a work permit visa. Though I doubt if these guys did have a work permit visa.
They possibly had
A
a
visitor's
visit
visa.
visa, yes.
Now, there's a mistake there as well. And heads would roll if I had the
If
power.
you're in charge.
Yes. Somebody at the immigration in Entebbe.
Had to
You know
explain.
those guys with those white shirts and
Yes.
pips on their shoulders?
Yes.
Yes, I would love to see one put on a pickup truck.
Aye.
Yes.
That would be so much, and we have systems. You follow the systems. If
Yeah,
someone came with a
I,
visit visa,
I don't walk in and grab the guy myself. I order the
you
boss.
use- But you see, Ssendi, that would be outrageous. Their systems, the person at the immigration in Entebbe, with the moment he sees that this person has a visiting visa and is accredited, entrance.
Well
That's
and
their
good.
job.
Well and good. Investigations, he would have to say that in court and then let off if really that's what happened. But somebody's supposed to have a working visa.
Oh, yes.
And much as it's not been the case so many times, so many musicians come in as tourists
And they go out.
and they go out. Make
Kanye
money.
West didn't sing, but he was here.
Yeah, well, he didn't deserve to have a working visa. But Yvonne Chaka Chaka didn't have one, so she was thrown out. But with this Nigerian guy, there was the whole blame lays with the promoter and security. No one else. So it was a very big mistake that the guy was sacrificed and arrested.
Then we had a very big battle on the digital platforms, on Twitter and Facebook, Ugandans and Nigerians. It was something very, very heavy. The words, Ssendi came out and the others, and I saw people tagging in, even Bebe Cool, your friend, and the others were being. Do you think, Ssendi, this was a payback, the way Ugandan artists are treated when they go to West Africa or in some countries? Because there seemed to be some underlying rage that was never seen. I've never seen artists of Uganda join hands about one particular thing, apart from Tubonga Nawe song.
There was no much fuss. And I would say our Ugandan artists, unfortunately, we are not on the same platform.
Okay.
And I realized some artists were posting because
There was
others,
pressure.
there was pressure. You have to say something. But it wasn't, when you read between the lines, it wasn't genuine. I would say the Nigerian artists did put up
Honest.
formidable pressure. And they stuck to one thing: release Omale. You get it?
Yes.
But our artists here were blabbering about, which is not a surprise anyway.
Why is the did a surprise to you?
That's us. And I'm starting
We
to
never
change.
stand on principle.
No, we are a confused batch of people, and it's not artists only. You get what I mean? So sometimes I don't want people to think that, yeah, I am talking ill about our artists. No.
You're being
even,
blunt.
Even carpenters are disorganized, even builders, even masons.
So as a nation, we are a disorganized cluster.
Yes,
according to
we
you.
are. We lack the word unity. In our DNA, in Uganda, we lack the word unity.
Hang in there. That is Mr. AT Ssendi is still with us now. I'm joined by my colleague, that is Ali Mivule, who happens to be in the NUP camp. Ali Mivule, if you can hear me, we saw a post that came in from Honorable Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu when he was castigating the security forces about the arrest of Omar Olay that day. Given all that was happening, with the interaction you had with him before you give us the security updates and all, what was his opinion about this?
Well, for starters, Mr. Andrew Chamagero, you know, there's been some, you know, in the music industry or in the entertainment industry, there are these big wigs that actually everyone wants to come out to show that they're on top. But before those musicians were released, Mr. Robert Chagulanyi, the chat we had with him was that he had already directed the lawyers, that's our Meli, and his other colleagues to go out and then secure the release of these people. But again, before the day ended and then those musicians were actually released, people coming out and saying that they deserve the credit. But at the end of the day, it was the National Unity Platform presidential candidate Robert Chagulanyi, for him, according to him, who had ordered these lawyers to go out and then secure the release of these people. But again, I'm not so sure, Chamagero, there, if also the other two people, the event organizers, if they're actually also released, because by that day also Robert Chagulanyi was advocating for these people to be released. So I'm not so sure if they were released.
The politics in the area where you are yesterday, how was the trail, and are you holding up the SOPs of the COVID-19?
Well, the first of the SOP is this, Mr. Chamagero. You can see the mask. At least now it's part of me, and also we have some sanitizer that we use. You know, here you're interacting with very many people, so you can't take the chances.
Yes.
Because of the massive rallies, the procession, so you can't just take your chances. So you need to sanitize anytime you're done with the first maybe rally. You must go on and then sanitize, wash your hands, as well as keep a distance. But keeping a distance here is kind of tricky, Mr. Chamagero, because we're journalists and you must interact with people, but again, you must be mindful after interacting with these people. Put on that mask as well as sanitize, wash your hands, and avoid unnecessary touches, handshaking, so that we can prevent the further spread of the COVID-19. Now, going into the politics, yesterday, what really happened? Yesterday, the National Unity Platform presidential candidate Robert Chagulanyi was in his second day of the Chigezi region, traversing these areas so that he gets some votes here. And he was in the areas of Mitoma, Kanungu, as well as Rukunjiri district. And Rukunjiri is the backyard of the former FDC leader, that's retired Dr. Kano Kizza, four-time presidential candidate here. And Robert Chagulanyi didn't hold back in praising Dr. Kizza. Actually, he called him his mentor, who had mentored very many politicians like Robert Chagulanyi. And also Chagulanyi advocated for the new crop of the new crop of opposition politicians to also groom others so that the opposition can actually get a more formidable force in their quest to secure power. But again, his other message was about the issue of the security forces. Now, Mr. Chamagero, for most of the rallies, we've seen Mr. Chagulanyi coming out crying foul over the security forces, frustrating his campaigns, blocking him from accessing the main roads, as well as other things that he has come out to condemn. But yesterday, when he was speaking, he actually said that the forces, he has the backing of the forces. And he also talked about the reshuffle of that's Sabit Muzei, the former the deputy IGP, saying that all this was done in a panic way just because of his formidable force. And he also said that many times he has warned the heads of the commanders of the forces not to be used, because at the end of the day, it will be them that will be answerable to the population.
Before you leave, Ali Mivule, I want you to give me what exactly is the relationship between the journalists on the ground vis-a-vis the security as per the previous fast of 3 weeks. Is the relationship improving, or are they extremely still hard on us while doing our job?
Well, I must credit the security forces for the last 1 week. At least when we've been in this Chigezi region and some other days back, at least there was a great improvement from the side of the security forces. Unlike the day I can't forget, Mr. Chamagero.
Yes.
It's the day we moved from Kumi, we went to Mbale, the whole day, starting from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. You know, the whole area was it had a crowd of tear gas, and we were beaten. And also the issue of Lira, when you remember Mr. Cliff Wamara, when he was severely beaten. That was the other week.
Yes.
But for the Chigezi region, at least we haven't seen much of the tear gas, not much of the bullets. I think the security forces are trying to behave.
Okay.
And act professional.
Okay, thank you so much. That is my colleague Ali Mivule. Please stay safe. Make sure you sanitize whenever you can and wear your masks, even while you're dealing with a great population of the voters there. So coming back to you, you've had, he made even on the campaign trail as an artist, he felt it was unfair to arrest the artist. But after the arrest, artists in Uganda saying concerts then should be lifted. Does this make sense to you, Ssendi?
One, I'm for opening of the concerts.
Why?
Because it's a very big industry. But unfortunately, it's one of the most misunderstood industries. People look at Jose Chameleone, the artist. People look at Shiba Karungi, the artist. People don't look at the other stakeholders or the other beneficiaries.
Yes, the promoters,
the events organizers, the guys who sell the drinks, the guys who put up the stages, the guys, the boda cyclists, the venue owners, the bouncers, the radio stations, the media houses. You know, it's very broad. It's a very broad industry.
Yes.
So whenever you see, for instance, what our government needs to know is that whenever you see a concert by King Saha, that concert might be feeding or might have 100 people directly or more involved, and all these people earn a living from that one concert.
Oh, yes.
Now, imagine people have been out of work for, it's coming to 9 months, if it is not 9 months.
Oh, yes.
Okay? Now, they've not been earning a living. I can understand, yeah, life comes first.
Yes.
But we've seen other people in similar circumstances as the showgoers are back to work.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing that the scientists have told us, and I actually believe, is that we should learn to live with COVID-19.
But you see, living with COVID-19 does not mean you're going to be reckless. When people come for concerts, they're going to drink alcohol, they're going to take off the mask, they will jump back and forth. This is exposure to the bigger picture. When you look at the presidential statements and what he has actually been alluding to previously.
With respect to the president, I don't think he's in touch with reality.
Oh.
Yes, with respect to the president.
What is the reality, Ssendi?
The reality, you need to go to Chikubo.
Or Nakasero Market.
The reality, you need to go to Kalerwe, you need to go to Nakasero Market, you need to go to the arcades, and then you can make a decision. My thinking is one, we have very many big venues that can accommodate people. Okay? Let the Ministry of Health and other stakeholders come up with SOP guidelines whereby a mask is a must. People must sanitize as they are coming into these venues, and the numbers should be limited, but limited to economic sense levels. You don't walk into Georgina Gardens, a venue that can handle 3,000 people, and you say you must have 200 people. That doesn't make economic sense because people are used to paying 10,000 or 20,000.
So now they're meant to pay more to cover up the missing numbers.
Exactly, and a lot of people won't be able to afford that. So it shouldn't be a blanket thing.
Statement or approach.
Okay, the same way, the same mistake which was done to the churches. Namirembe Cathedral, I think, can take 10,000 people. So when you say, yeah, the churches are open, 70 people
Allowed.
are allowed, it looks empty.
Then they say 200 people.
Still empty. But if you say it, I don't remember. I've been somewhere, and all they've done is one seat. The next seat, there is a paper saying, don't sit.
Yes.
COVID-19. So another person sits there.
Yes. Even at All Saints, that's how it is.
That's how it's been done. I think it was there. I saw it somewhere.
Yes.
So it's been done in a very nice way. So when you sit here, there's
There
no
is a
one here.
space.
And it goes on like that, like that. So people are properly given spaces. So some places that are, I would use the word compliant, for lack of a better word, can be allowed to operate.
Okay.
But let concerts
With unlimited numbers from your school of thought.
yeah,
As
with a
long as the
limited
SOPs
with a
are there.
limited number, and when the ministry is coming up with these SOP guidelines, kindly consult some stakeholders,
Inclusion.
because I wonder when Dr. Diana Twine, the permanent secretary, last went into a bar or a club or a concert.
She doesn't go for either of those.
Neither all the commissioners and the ministers, you know.
They could be drinking, but they drink from affluent places. I mean, the A class.
Yeah,
they
maybe
don't come-
Serena, where
They don't come to, what is that place of Kuruzi? Mitanda.
Mitanda, PTC.
They don't come to PTC.
No, they won't come to PTC. So they, when they're making the SOP guidelines, they need to consult the stakeholders so that they don't come up with draconian regulations which can't work.
Okay.
You understand?
Again,
The same mistake which was made with the borders. You remember when they said they should write down a number, and the guys couldn't actually write, let alone the female passengers giving them their numbers.
I know.
And you know what that would mean.
Ssendi,
You know?
hang in there. Let me connect to my colleague, another one that is Herbert Ziwa, who happens to be in the NRM campaign trail of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Tiba Habura. Herbert, what is the latest on the ground?
Thank you very much, Andrew Chamagero, and the viewers wherever you're watching from. We are still here in Hoima, in Fort Portal City, on our way to Hoima. That is Bunyoro sub-region. The NRM candidate Yoweri Museveni today starts his vote hunt in Bunyoro sub-region. Bunyoro has 8 districts of Hoima, Masindi, Bulisa, Chikube, and others. This is where he's going to be for the next 2 days. Today is going to be in Chibale, meeting NRM district leaders of Chibale and the nearby districts before he proceeds to Hoima tomorrow to meet another group of NRM leaders from that region. If you look at Bunyoro sub-region, you would say it is also strongly NRM if you go by the 2016 general election results. And indeed, some of the members of parliament that side have already come back to parliament as unopposed. They have 2. One of them is a Minister for Finance, Matia Kasaija, and another is called Pius Wakabi from Bogaya County. So those are the ones who have come back as unopposed. That shows you maybe the strength of the NRM. Another outstanding issue in Bunyoro is to do with oil extraction, or oil that is still ongoing, and there are many roads that have been constructed to facilitate the movement of oil. If you look at the allocations for infrastructure, I think Bunyoro sub-region has taken a lion's share compared to other regions in the country. But also another outstanding issue is to do with the compensation of land, people who lost their land as a result of the oil activities. So we wait to see whether the president and the NRM candidate will make comments in that regard. So after Bunyoro, that means the president will only be remaining with one region, that is Buganda, Buganda region, and is likely to spend almost 1.5 weeks in Buganda, in the areas of Masaka, areas of Kampala, Mukono, and Mubende, as he seeks another mandate in office. So Andrew Chamagero, that is what is happening here in Fort Portal City on a Friday morning before we proceed to Chibale district.
Well, Ziwa, before you go, what do you make of Fort Portal, the time you've been there, with what you've seen, the hospitality of the people? What do you make of that region, Ziwa?
I would say Fort is not so interesting as it used to be because of of course, what is going on in the town is a bit disorganized because of the several road constructions that are taking place. If you look at the roads have been all the roads are all under construction. If I would say, you wouldn't see the green that used to be in Fort because of the ongoing works. But hopefully, maybe after construction, things will turn back to normal. But also because of the curfew and the movements, the restrictions on movement, you would see few people in town, especially after 7. I know that's the part you would want me to talk about, but there are limited people in town after 7 because of the COVID-19 restrictions.
So that is my colleague Albert Zua will be bringing you more of these updates from the different camps, that is the NUP, the FDC, the NRM, and of course Katumba, as well as Nancy and Mayambala in our subsequent bulletins. So back to you, Mr. Ssendi.
Yes, please.
You said all this didn't make sense. We are just a reactionary population that gets reactionary whenever things are coming up. We run by emotions as a cluster. We
True.
need to change that. We don't have solidarity.
We don't. And this is evident in so many groups. I'll stick to entertainment. There's no solidarity. Okay? That is why it's very rare to get 200, 300 musicians on one cause, all speaking with the same voice. Okay? So I use this chance on NTV to call upon our performing artists, especially musicians.
Did you hear what you just said? To call upon our performing artists. Don't you think that the lack of an umbrella that unites all creative arts as one could be the reason as to why we don't have the solidarity? Because you have different portions.
We have had several forums and associations and all that, but they all lack, one, the unity of the stakeholders.
Okay.
Two, our government has proven not to have any interest
In the industry.
in the industry. For instance, I will give you an example. In sports, there is a Ministry of
Sport.
Education and Sports. There is a desk
Yes.
specifically for sports.
Yes.
In performing arts, we don't have.
We have the National Council, National Culture Council.
No, there's nothing. In sports, we have the National Council of Sports,
Yes.
fully funded by the government,
Yes.
with money going into the National Council of Sports to be given to the different domains. Let's not look at how much money,
But there is,
but there is something.
there is a
However
political
small,
will.
there is a drop that
goes there.
goes in there. There is supposed to be a National Arts Council.
We have it. We have the National Culture Council.
It's not there.
What's there then?
There's nothing.
Come on, Ssendi.
True.
The National Culture Council.
Let me tell you, I dare the Minister for Gender, Labor and Social Development to come here and tell you where art is in the ministry. They are using the gender department to do some work whenever there is need for government to come out.
So it comes to
There's,
whom
I
it may
think, a
concern.
commissioner or an assistant commissioner. Okay? A lady, I think she's called Naomi. Art has no department in that ministry.
Fully-fledged,
A
focusing on arts.
fully-fledged department.
Wow.
There would be need for a minister because this industry,
Wait a minute. You need a Minister of Entertainment.
not entertainment, please don't
Minister of
dilute it,
Arts.
Andrew. A minister for performing arts.
Nice.
There is need for that and a fully-fledged department. The same way you have
Minister of Sports.
yes, in the Ministry of Education and Sports, there's a minister, there is a whole department with a commissioner there,
Oh, yes.
and all other stakeholders. Okay?
Okay.
The government needs to come out and do that. And I feel that would help then to constitute the Arts Council, which is there in the books, but not in reality.
Now, this brings us to a question. Whatever you're asking for is going to call for compliance in one way or the other. Do artists or the performing arts, are they ready to be compliant that every gig you go and you work, you're going to need this permit and you're going to pay these much taxes, and then you can move forward? Because like you said, we're such a very complacent kind
Society.
of stuff from you. Given that you're asking for all these modalities to be in place, are the performing arts ready to walk the talk of being compliant in paying taxes and all?
What I think needs to be done is what we call the carrot and stick approach. Definitely the artists will be compliant when they see the ministry or the government coming up with something good.
Okay.
You know, it's always rude and wrong for the government to come out and just put regulations. But the artists can as well come out and say, but what have we ever benefited from the government?
Okay.
You get it?
I hear you.
But if the government came up with a concrete plan and structures, okay, whether artists attend or not, put out seminars, educate the people, get those that can attend, okay,
I
to
hear you.
know the regulations, involve as many stakeholders in coming up with any sort of regulations. And because it is for the good of the people, definitely, even the errant ones will
comply.
will, with time, comply. And if they see the fruits of the guidelines, you understand?
Yes,
I'll
I
give
do.
you an example. There was a time, sometime back, around 2005 or thereabout, there was a draft of guidelines that came out. And one of the issues there was that if an artist is to travel abroad, the government will help them in securing visas. But on the other hand, the government will ask for the foreign promoters' contacts, contract, and proof of payment.
From the promoter?
From the
On the
foreign
other side.
promoter on the other side. Almost around the same time, some guys went to London. But I think they traveled with through Brussels. And the promoter had used fake air tickets.
Oh, God.
So the guys ended up being stranded in England
Oh, God.
for over a month.
They can't move.
They couldn't move, and I think the show wasn't very successful, so the promoter didn't have money really, you know. And it was one of those weird moments. And we've seen so many people, though many don't come out to tell the stories, but so many have been cheated when they go to perform abroad. Now, if the government had come in with the regulations and helps to safeguard the interests of the artists
Before they leave the country.
before leaving the country,
Wow.
okay, a lot of mistakes wouldn't be
Happen
happening.
on the other side, yeah.
So that is what would be the carrot.
That should be the return to
Then-
investment of the compliance.
Exactly. Now, when you get treated that way, when Andrew is going to perform in Los Angeles,
In Luxembourg. Oh, Los
Okay,
Angeles is
in
is
Luxembourg.
Let me go to Luxembourg.
yeah, in Luxembourg, very quiet, calm place.
That's why I love the place.
And the ministry helps you to get the visa. They advise you on
The Minister of Performing Arts.
exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. They advise you on, do you realize you'll be paying taxes there or not, or all that, you know? They have a team of people that look through the contract and advise this performing artist. And then say, when is the show? When is the flight? Some
This
of
is
our
your
people
itinerary,
are ignorant. Someone books a ticket for you, and you have to spend 12 hours in
flight.
Dubai,
Oh, yes.
okay, in transit. Yet there is another flight which spends 3 or 2 hours before your next flight.
Oh, yes.
So this ignorant musician is given professional advice by somebody in the ministry and told, look, ask these people to change the ticket. You can't spend 12 hours
just
in transit. And as far as I know, there is another flight which whereby you will spend only 3 hours.
Oh, yes.
Okay? And yes, have you received your pay? What are the terms? The best thing to do, I'll give you an example.
This is
The
before you
Jamaicans-
leave.
Yeah, before you leave. The Jamaicans, no serious Jamaican musician steps on the plane
Without
unless you've cleared 100%.
from home.
They don't step on the plane. So when such a scenario comes up in Uganda and the musicians and performing artists and comedians are getting that sort of treatment, they will definitely obey
The
other regulations
Because it
which
safeguards
might,
them.
yes, they will appreciate the whole thing. Okay, so my thinking is the government should come out and do something about showing interest in the performing arts instead of the presidential handouts we've seen, which are doing more harm than good to the country, to the people, even to the industry.
I agree. Given that you subscribe to a lot of forums that have these are great thoughts, Ssendi, and I'm wondering, have you taken a chance to share these very great opinions with the powers that be?
Unfortunately, personally, I haven't had a chance.
But you subscribe to these forums.
Yes, but the forums I subscribe to
Are not that powerful?
are
to
not
reach
that
them?
powerful to
Okay.
make the decisions.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the people that get a chance to meet the powers up there are so selfish that when they go up there, all they ask for is
Personal gain.
personal gains. Whatever they ask
sad.
for is for them individually,
And
not
balinze
for the
bategeerera.
industry. Balinze mbategeerera, you know.
That said, Ssendi, with the new what is happening in the arts industry, there is something that we have a paradigm shift from the big artists this entire year. We have new bubblegum music on the market. We have new artists that are taking over the market. What does this mean to you?
We've seen this a lot over the years, and unfortunately, our musicians don't learn, especially the new ones. They do the same mistakes
Over.
the ones that were here did, and the cycle continues. Because if you look at the industry, there will always be some new artists that will come and then disappear,
Oh, yes.
and another crop will come. Some will stay around. In Uganda, it's called babiranga kitengejja.
Mitima gyakaluba.
Or in English, you would say they would float around
Oh, yes.
on the waters.
They're stagnant.
They are not sinking,
They're not going
they are
out.
not swimming, but they are floating
They're
around.
hanging in there.
So, but having said that, I would like to commend any artist that has managed to put out anything, even as small as a song. You can call it a project, you can make it big and call it a project, because the times have been very hard,
Yes.
and there's been no money.
But have artists learned from the lockdown?
I don't want to say
artists
artists.
didn't have financial discipline?
Have Ugandans learnt from the lockdown?
No,
Let-
we're in the
let-
performing arts.
They haven't. Some have realized that actually you need to have,
To save
you need
contagious
to
funds.
save, but saving is a very hard thing.
You must invest.
But there's need to invest, and maybe there's need to have another job.
Perfect.
Okay, another, but in the whole, in a nutshell, you need to have another source of income, a second source of income, so that you don't sink when you know,
When hard times hit
when
you.
hard times hit you,
Oh, yes.
because up to now people are grappling with landlords and so many other problems.
I don't want to get there.
You know?
Thank you so much, Ssendi. It was an honor to have you, and it's always gratifying to have
blessed.
these honest conversations.
I'm blessed.
I would suggest that you take these opinions about the National Arts Culture Council. I don't know, I'm going to try to talk to the powers that I be known to, that we can have this conversation taken to another level.
Engage the minister
Yes.
and ask him.
But you see, ministers keep changing. We need to find
No,
people.
don't engage Honorable Tumwebaze. Engage the minister
And the PS.
and the PS.
Yes.
You engage the minister. What
Not-
it means
not the
when
state
you engage
minister.
the minister, no, what I'm saying, when you engage the minister, it means that even if he's not in office,
It's something already rolling.
because you addressed it to the minister,
Perfect.
not to the individual.
Oh, yes.
You know, you might meet him and
no,
you
no,
have a
I'll
cup
speak
of
to the
coffee
minister.
in the corridors of Serena.
Come on.
You know?
So that is Ssendi for you. You can follow up more of Ssendi's conversations. They have a program on Dembe FM every Saturday. It's called Talk and Talk. And much more of that, you can actually even find him on KFM at times whenever you wish you can. Now, going to my colleague, Stephen Mbide. He happens to be somewhere. Stephen Mbide, what's the latest where you are? Okay, let's first take a break and then I'll connect you.